Just a couple questions real quick about. So Mysterious Skin, that really was a turning point for a lot of people with Greg's movies.
Yeah.
Because that was probably his most accessible movie. That
it's funny you said that's his most accessible.
That's weird, isn't it?
But at the same time,
it's so strange. It's like saying David Lynch has an accessible movie. But I think the main thing people carry from that was Joseph Gordon-Levitt really had his breakout in that, and now he's kind of
huge.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a big deal. So looking at that, what do you remember from that kind of experience? When
that was a very. Mary Jane Skolsky was the producer on that, and she really stuck to her guns and really was just an exquisite producer in believing in a very controversial and tough storyline. She believed in it. She pushed it. She worked with Greg. Obviously, Greg, as director, was amazing. But there was a lot of pushback, for that type of material, to do that type of material, and. It was a little shocking, but I think we all knew what we were doing. It was all done so professionally, even though it was such shocking material. But at the end of it, to see how many people were affected emotionally by that film, I think that film spoke to a large group of people who never had the experience of collectively sharing some of those issues. And so I think that was really quite beautiful, actually, to see those people's response and to see how affected they were about a movie. To have something to latch onto, to have a conversation piece about it. I've never really been in such a situation where that was so prevalent.
When that came out, I was working at a video store in Seattle called Scarecrow Video, and it was the first time I was ever, telling people, you're not going to get this at first.
Right.
Hold on, though. It's great.
It's and it's so funny because I remember seeing Joseph Gordon-Levitt come across this. We shot it in the Valley, and for all those of you who want to, for filmmakers, we shot in the summer in the Valley, which was doubling for Kansas in the winter. It can be done. Just avoid the palm trees and make sure you have a lot of down jackets. So
the Valley in the summer wearing
down
winter clothing.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it worked.
Make it a tense movie, so they're sweating about the tension.
Well, the whole thing is if the storyline is riveting, nobody really knows.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was really what it was. Also arid extra dry on the windows of a car, make it always look like frost.
That is the greatest tip I've ever heard. If you are deciding to make a video at home, air it extra dry.
Air it extra dry on the windows makes it feel like winter.
And then the one other movie I want really briefly, Station Agent. You were co-producer on that, and again, you seem to be co-producer on some movies that are really revelatory for the main actor's performance, because this was the first time I had ever really noticed how good of an actor. My Geekscape audience knows I'm horrible with names.
Dinklage?
Yes, Peter Dinklage. This was the first time I ever stopped and go and just thought, that is not a short actor. That's an actor.
Yeah, I mean he's without a doubt. I think
Now that was that a calm set? I mean, was that?
Oh, it was great. It was out in New Jersey. You got to give it up to Tom McCarthy. Watching that movie, then watching The Visitor, like he just knows what to do with the actors, and I think that performance in The Visitor too was amazing. Bobby Cannavale and Patricia Clarkson, Mary Jane picked some. Skalsky's a great producer. She picked some really good projects, and I've had the real luxury of being able to ride on her coattails at least for 2 or 3 movies. So I was excited about that, and they're pretty great. Both performances of both movies are just amazing.
Yeah. So getting back to Cropsey while we're here. So a couple of things like well, I mean, really, we've talked a little bit about. I can't really. We're going to have the review up this weekend. I'm watching it today.
Check it out. Cropsey, you can get it on VOD right now all over the country, so go get it on VOD. You can also go to the theater. We're playing here all week. Please come. We've been held over for 4 weeks now in New York at the IFC Theater, and now we're moving into Midnights behind Human Centipede.
The Midnights behind Human Centipede. Brian Gilmore, behind Human Centipede.
Behind Human Centipede.
We have a guy, Brian Gilmore, who loves Human Centipede. He can't get over how much he loves that movie.
Human Centipede is one type of movie. This is another type of movie. We are on opposite sides of the midnight cult spectrum. But I think it really does have that kind of place, because these are the types of movies. When you really look at cult films, these are the types of movies that really affect people. It's not just hugely grindhouse. It's not just kind of Fulci and things like that. On the other side of the spectrum, I think there needs to be an interesting balance to the grind.
I did a little looking into it, and as far as like the idea of the horror documentary, which is how Roger Ebert describes it, not a lot.
Listen, I've never heard of it before.
I've never. You're breaking new ground. I mean, there's probably a whole generation of gore fans that are going, I could do that.
Horror documentary. And the funny thing was, is I put it out there. It's not a marketing tool. It's not a marketing tool. It's just a way to talk about it, to get people to be like, oh my God, what is a horror? What would a horror documentary be? Because horror implies something, and a documentary almost implies something completely different. So, a horror documentary, and it's interesting. We didn't know if it would work, to be honest. But probably the most satisfying thing is people were like, it works. A horror documentary. You got it.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up. But before we do, the last thing I want to leave people on is, Josh, did you he either retweeted it or he tweeted that some kids went up to the IFC Theater in New York and asked the box office, are you guys playing Eclipse? And they ended up coming back and seeing Cropsey. What did they think?
Apparently they were like mesmerized. Like they thought they were going to get Eclipse, and then they got this, and they sat in the theater for a couple extra minutes just trying to digest. No Robert Patterson, no vampire love stories, just
I like to think you encouraged some better taste.
I would like to think so too.
Twilight or Cropsey? Let's lean towards the intelligent one, please, at all times. All right.
If we could just show Cropsey at the ArcLight, that would be
really gosh, that'd be great. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Josh Zeman. I'm Brian Walton, and check out the review on Geekscape.net, and check out the movie. It's at the Lamley 5 here in Los Angeles for the rest of the week, and then it's also available on VOD. So Comcast, Time Warner, whoever your cable operator is, rent it. You don't even have to leave the house. Don't even put on pants.
No pants.